All right, what's going on, everybody? So we're working on the Legacy again. Today I am going to be focusing on brake lines first. It's something I need to knock off the list here before we get too far. So I started working on the rear brakes here. So I got this little the two rear lines together, and then this is actually our feed. So I just bent this line up. I figured out how to do the fittings. So we're just running this up on top of the firewall here, and it's going to go down here. I'm not done bending this side, but basically this is going to go into this one here for the rear output, so the RO, and then we have two front outputs right here to each caliper. So I just got to reshape this guy to get this to fit up there, and the rear brakes are done. We just got to make lines to the front and lines for our feed. So there's one on this side and one here that go into those two on top. So we also need to wire in the sensor, but that should be easy. That's just two wires right there, so I'll do that later. All right, I'm working on making another line here. This is kind of my flare fitting setup. Got to get this secured in here. I'm terrible at making these, but basically you just make it sit up as tall as this thing is thick, and put that in there with some brake fluid as lubricant. And you also want to take like a knife or something and wall out the inside of this thing just to make sure there's no burrs on it. You take a file, kind of file this down, or like some fine grit sandpaper is what I've been using. So just kind of get it in a nice clean crimp. So it's all about the prep. Okay, just crimped it the first time, pull that thing out, then we'll set this guy back in here and do the second crimp. Hopefully this one turns out okay, or we're going to be cutting it off and trying again. I think that's about it. Yeah, don't want to over tighten it. There you go. It's not too bad. I think that'll probably work. Yeah, not too bad. Don't forget to put your fittings on before you do that. Okay, so I just took that line, kind of just bent it up, put it to the rear one, so it's the rear one to the rear one, front one to the front one. Pretty sure that's how it goes. But yeah, doesn't look too bad. I didn't want to do it like a loop over, and I mean also this is kind of flexible, so, but also I didn't want to make these bends too tight. I don't want to touch in the strut tower, and so that's kind of what I came up with. Now I just need to connect this one up to this one, which I think I might come up to the front. Try to make something a little fancy there. So I want it to look good, but that is kind of big. Okay, I just bent up another line here. It's a real pain to get these fittings on here, but I'm pretty happy with that. It's not the cleanest. I can still kind of, you know, bend these around, but the problem is like this one needs to come out this way, and then I didn't want sharp corners, so I tried to make this gradual. But yeah, it's not too bad. So then I got this brake line that runs along there, so I just need to make one more that's going to come out of the bottom of here, and it's going to go up with this one into that. It'll go over there and drop down underneath there for the caliper. And then this one will essentially just go straight down under there. But I gotta get the car up off on jack stands, get the wheels off, so I can make sure that all that stuff lines up. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I did want to get rid of this sensor, so I want to take this out and go to the hardware store and see if I can find like a plug or something to put in there, because I don't need this sensor and it just takes up room, so I'm gonna get rid of it. But yeah, started to get the brakes together. Okay, so skipping ahead a little bit, just made the rest of the lines. So I made this rear one here that goes up and over. Just kind of ran it through there. That goes down to the front caliper there. This one was pretty easy. This one just goes straight from this front output right down to that caliper. So that's pretty much how it's going to run. I put this little connector here to kind of hold them together. So these run up along with each other, clip into the factory clips. Put that guy on there too, that helps hold it all in place. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. The brake lines are done. And I can adjust it with the proportioning valve right here. This is my little sensor, the fuel, this level sensor, but you can see the Willwood proportioning valve right there. You can still reach in here and adjust it, but it's tucked away, nice out of the way, so pretty happy with that. ABS delete done. So I'm also just playing around with some of this stuff. This is the iWire GC8 to GD connector holder plate thing I got from them. It's pretty cheap. It mounts the boost control solenoid right there, so and it holds the harness up in like the factory position. And since it's for a GC, it works on a Legacy, so that actually came out pretty clean. I need to get rid of these vacuum lines and run my own because this was from the parts car. But it's a Company 23 EBCS, so that's pretty cool. This is kind of what I'm thinking as far as the harness. I'm just going to run it and kind of loop it under here. It's just too long, so I'm not really sure what else I can do with it. Besides maybe just heat wrap it, get some sleeving. I'm going to, you know, sleeve it down there and just kind of let it go there. But yeah, I got my hybrid MAF set up right here. So my intake will go like this. And I could run this over to my 3.5 bar map sensor I'm going to run that. So this is pretty cool because it gives me like the benefits and the drivability stuff of mass airflow, but at a certain PSI it'll take over and run the speed density. I think like over 5 pounds or whatever you set it to. It'll switch over to speed density, and it's a lot easier to tune and stuff like that at the higher boost levels. So I think the MAF actually has a limit of what it can read at, you know, a certain boost level, so a certain amount of air can flow. So definitely excited to have that. But yeah, I definitely need to get some heat shielding for this stuff. But it's pretty clean how it's working out. Most of the wiring's already done, so. One thing I'm not entirely sure about is if this is going to be in the way of my fuel filter, which usually bolts right there. So I may have to like manipulate these lines a little bit more to get a fuel filter here, because these don't have a fuel filter in the tank like the GD does. So not entirely sure if this is super permanent, because I mean I could obviously remake this line pretty easily. It's just from there to there if it's in the way. So that might be something to do down the line. But the next thing is going to be putting the fluid in it and bleeding it and see if we have any leaks. Hopefully these fittings I made actually seal, because that seems to be the hardest part. So now I'm going to work on making a little panel piece for the OBD2 port. So I got it traced on the back here. I'm just going to cut out this kind of square shape, and then I should be able to just pop it in and clip it into the back of here. Then I can just remove this panel anytime I need to get in there to plug it in OBD. So yeah, let's see if I can get to cutting. Okay, that's what I got so far. Just kind of used the little grinder here to cut out the rough shape, and I'm using a file to kind of make it a little bit bigger, which I need. It's good height wise, but width wise I need to take a little bit more off this side just to get it to clip in there. So I'm just going to sneak up on it real close, file it down a little bit at a time, and then it should just pop in there. It'll be a nice kind of OEM plus look. Alright, there we have it. So it doesn't look the best from on this side, but it just goes right in there. I had to notch it for those little pieces on the sides, but clips in, looks pretty good. You never really see it anyway, but it should fit back up inside here. Maybe down there. Okay, well there's the final product. OBD port hidden away. Pretty factory looking, honestly. If you didn't like it super close and see the edges, but if they were to put one in this car, it's probably where they would put it. So I'll probably have to figure out, maybe like cut a hole down here for when I have the access port wire coming through, because I don't want to have this panel off all the time. And I don't actually need the tray thing that goes here either, but I could get one if I could find one in black, but for now it looks pretty good. Most of the interior is coming back together, so happy with it. Okay, so it got dark on me pretty quick. I already filmed a lot of this stuff, so I didn't do it this time, but I went through and I swapped out this last knuckle. And when I did that, I readjusted the camber to try to add as much negative camber as I could with the camber bolts I bought. And so far, without rolling the fenders or anything, it's pretty close, because I measured the lower arms because they're adjustable, but I wanted to set them to the stock GD STI length, so I know the axles are happy. And so last time I measured them, unless they've moved, they should be the right length. Like right now I know it's towed in a little bit, but so I need to go to there, double check those. But I think I'll be able to fit this 225 under here with just maybe minorly rolling the fenders a little bit without, I don't want to totally destroy the fenders. So I just want to roll them out a little bit, make it just fit like the front does, which if you look at it from down this way, it's not bad. I don't want it to poke. So it's looking pretty good. So that was also my last brake line I hooked up. So now I'm ready to start bleeding the brakes, which I can't do tonight because it's just getting too late. So I'll say that for another time, but I'll bleed the brakes, get those pressurized, and make sure all my new fittings and everything from the ABS lead, don't leak. That's my biggest concern, that the fittings I crimped will leak. So, but I've also started cleaning up the heads. Right now I'm ordering all the parts I need to build these heads. So like these are my old stock cams, those are going away. I'm gonna be getting all new buckets. I keep them in order, but I'm gonna have to get all new buckets because I'm going for fully built heads on these. So I have a set, this is all I got so far in the mail, but I got a set of GSE Power Division. These are the super alloy exhaust valves. So these are good. These will withstand up to like 2,000 degrees of exhaust temperature, I think. So they have chrome stems, so it should reduce wear and all that stuff. You do have to use their special manganese, I think it's called, valve guides. So I'm going to get some valve guides, their special valve stem seals, all this stuff to go along with them. Also their standard size intake valves, because I'm not doing oversized valves. Not really a point for me. It's just more machine work money, and I don't feel like there's a lot of gain to it. So all stock size, but just upgraded. I did order a set of Kelford 272 cams, so the 272, 268, like their stage 2 cam. So I'm going to be going through and doing that. That requires a lot of work to the heads. Like these little reliefs here for the valve springs, these have to be cut down quite a bit because the lobes of the cams are so much bigger that the lobe will actually make contact with the casting. So I'm going to go through in these and with a die grinder, and I might have the machine shop do it. I'm going to ask him how much he wants to do it, but these need to be brought down quite a bit. So when it comes time to do that, I'll show how that's done. But yeah, the other thing they have to do is make sure that the actual cam bearing surface is within the right spec. I think they do have to cut these a little bit bigger for the other camshafts. So I'll have him do all that, cut all these, polish them, make sure everything's perfect, because these heads are going to be very expensive and I want them to be perfect. So all that's coming. But a built set of heads would be nothing without a built block. And so I finally got a really big package in the mail. I was very excited for this. This is my IAG Stage 2 Tough Block. So this is the first time I've ever bought a motor that's built other than me. I usually build all my own motors. But when it comes to STI motors, it's just so much cheaper. It's not really cheaper, it's such a good price to get one of these built short blocks. Like, if I were to build this motor with if I had an old casting, block, and had it bored out, bought all the forged internals, new bearings, all the stuff that, to put it together, with all the machine work to bore it out bigger, have everything checked, decked, all the stuff, it would come out to be maybe a few $100s cheaper than just to buy one of these that's got a warranty and is ready to go. Like, this thing's built correctly. These things are gonna. This is a short block that's rated to 600 horsepower, so I know it's gonna live for a long time. In my 450 500 wheel setup, if I ever push it that far. Right now the goal is 400 wheel on pump gas, and we'll go from there. But I'm not going to be opening it. I did take a peek at it, that's why I taped it back up. But I'm going to leave it in the box until it's time to put it on the engine stand, because it's perfect. It's all sealed up, and it's so I don't get to show you guys yet. You have to wait and see that when the heads get done. Once the heads are done and I can put the heads on the block, then we'll get it out of the box, get it up on the stand, and start putting this motor together. So, but yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this video. I feel like I got some stuff accomplished. A lot of the interior's back together. I got the ABS delete done. So next time I'm gonna definitely be bleeding the brakes, and hopefully going over some head work. But we just have to see how the whole money situation works out, because this stuff is not cheap. If you guys didn't know, we're not monetized, so this is just something we do for fun. But keep an eye on the channel, because this is another project that's in the works that we haven't posted a video on yet. But this is a very exciting build we got going, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.